Howdy, my name is David Gallegos, and today I'm going to be talking about love. Specifically, diotemas or diotemas, or however you want to pronounce it. I'm going to pronounce it diotema. Diotema's definition of love. So, here we go. What is love? Maybe at one point I thought it was a connection, a romance, comfort, the feeling of being wanted or seen or safe, the warm things we chase in movies and songs and stories, the stuff we're told makes life worth living. But after reading Diotema's speech, something cracked. Suddenly, love wasn't soft, it wasn't simple or something you fall into, it was something you climb. Diotema redefined love for me. She transformed it from a feeling into a force, not just emotional but moral, something bigger, something harder to achieve, something that demanded growth. And in that shift, I realized maybe this thing we keep calling love, all these relationships, cravings, attachments, maybe a lot of it isn't love. That's where ophiuria comes in. I needed a word for the thing that feels like love but isn't love. The thing that grips you, warms you, keeps you coming back, but never helps you grow. The thing that seduces you into a stillness. Infatuation, obsession, desire, none of those fit. Because it's not just a feeling, it's a condition, a state of being, a space that we step into, a pattern we repeat, a beautiful illusion that loops us. So I gave it a name, ophiuria. Oath from ophis, Greek for serpent, and then iria to describe the state of being. The state of being entranced by a serpent, basically. Kind of cool. It's not evil, it's not malicious, it's just not love. If I was going to climb towards something real, I had to know what I was doing. So that's where the journey begins in defining love. So let's talk about Diotema for a little bit. She has the ladder of love. What I love about Diotema's speech is that she doesn't cancel out the other speakers. She completes them in Plato's Symposium. Everyone else offers pieces of the puzzle, but she's the one who finally turns it into something that you can chase or move towards, a staircase. Phaedrus gives us loyalty. Pausanias draws the line between lust and soul. Erximachus brings in philosophy. Aristophanes adds longing and myth. Agathon gives us beauty in romance. But Diotema, she's the only one who points us upward. She describes love as a ladder, not a destination, not a feeling you fall into and stay in, but a continued process of ascent, a transformation, a climb. Here's how it works. In this ladder, the first rung is the love of a beautiful body. And then moving up the ladder, you begin to see beauty in all bodies, and then beauty in souls, in character, virtue, wisdom, and then beauty in customs, laws, institutions, and systems that promote goodness. And finally, if you're brave enough, honest enough, strong enough, you can reach the form of beauty itself. Eternal, perfect, not physical, not personal, not possessible. She says this is something mysterious, something rare. Not everyone reaches it. Not everyone is willing to climb that far. Because climbing means letting go of comfort, of possession, of ego. Diotema's love isn't attraction. It's transformation. It starts in desire, yes. But if we let it, it pulls us towards something eternal. It doesn't just want the beautiful, it wants to become something beautiful. And that's the power of her ladder. So let's talk about what this ladder isn't. What I define as, or what I've given the name to as ophiuria, the state of false love. Ophiuria isn't just a feeling, it's a condition, a place your soul can live without realizing you've stopped moving. It feels like love, emotional, intense, euphoric, but it doesn't change you, it doesn't elevate you, it doesn't make you better, it doesn't move you up the ladder. Ophiuria is love without ascent. It's closeness without growth. It's comfort dressed up as connection, soft, warm, satisfying, and stillness. That's what makes it so dangerous. Most people stop here. Why wouldn't they? It feels good, it's intimate, familiar, validating. But ophiuria doesn't ask anything of you. It doesn't challenge you. It doesn't shape you. And if it doesn't push you to become more just, more wise, more courageous, if it doesn't demand you reach for your most moral self, it isn't love. It shows up everywhere. In romantic relationships where you've both stopped growing. In friendships where no one's ever challenged. In patterns that feel like love but are just nostalgia, escapism, or ego preservation. I didn't have a word for that false love that isn't evil, just stagnant. So I made one. It's soft, it's pretty, but it's false. And that's the moment when Diotima's ladder works, because it is ascent. It's a climb. And all of the other speeches in the symposium lead us to this love. Opheria is what happens when we step off the ladder, when we get stuck. But now I'm gonna switch it up, and I'm gonna reframe this love, this definition of love, into my own life. What have I taken from this? I mean, I feel it's important to read and understand what Diotima meant, but what is the purpose of reading if not to help develop your own philosophy, right? So I'm gonna reframe this definition of love in a moral ascent instead of beauty. This is where I pivot from Diotima. She believed love was a climb toward the form of beauty, eternal, perfect, immaterial, and I respect that. Her ladder holds. But for me, beauty isn't enough. Beauty isn't always good. You can fall in love with beauty and still fall short of virtue. You can worship beauty and still let others suffer. So I reframe the top of her ladder, not to erase Diotima's teaching, but to evolve it. Love in the system is a moral engine. It's the desire to become your most moral self. Love, instead of the desire to reach the form of beauty, is the desire to reach the form of goodness. Not because you're forced to, but because love won't let you stay the same. Morality is a gradient. Love is what pushes you up it. And sure, you can be moral without love, you can follow rules, but real love doesn't stop there. Real love moves you toward clarity, empathy, action, and truth. Doing good isn't enough. Diotima's ladder works. The structure is brilliant. She gives us love not as a place, but as a process, not a possession, but a path. Each rung of her ladder stretches the soul from personal desire to philosophical truth. But where it breaks for me is the target. The final step in her ascent, this form of beauty, while in her context may mean virtue, truth, courage, the word, I think now in modern times, doesn't sit. It doesn't work anymore. Because in the language we have now, beauty feels tainted, that word. It feels vain. We use it to describe things that are surface level, fleeting, sometimes even harmful, and that's the problem. So maybe I'm not rejecting Diotima, maybe I'm just updating her, or modernizing her view. Maybe what I'm really doing is translating her form of beauty into something more grounded, more actionable, more necessary. It's the best possible act in any moment. The one that reduces the most suffering and increases the most well-being. Not just for you, but for the people around you, for the world. That's what I'm climbing towards. That's what love is. It's not admiration, not aesthetics, it's alignment. With truth, clarity, with moral action. Where Diotima reaches for eternal beauty, I reach for eternal goodness. And in doing so, I preserve her structure, but I plant a new flag at the summit. Love in this reframed system isn't a feeling. It doesn't ask, what do I want? It asks, who am I becoming? It isn't measured by intensity, it's measured by impact. It's not about how deeply you feel, it's about how far it moves you. Without this moral direction, love collapses into Opheria. That's what happens when we mistake comfort for growth, when we stop climbing and circling. And I didn't redefine love to be clever or provocative or philosophical for the sake of it. I redefined it because I had to. Because I'm someone who does love deeply. If I'm going to keep doing that, I need it to mean something. Is this thing even love that I'm doing? Is it something I want to keep doing? Is love moral? Otherwise, I'm just another emotional being adding suffering to the world and calling it passion, calling it love. If love is immoral, then do I want to keep doing it? I needed a definition that could hold the weight of real choices. I think this one begins to try to do that. Obviously, it's new and probably full of a ton of holes, but I've got to try to define it for myself. By now, I hope it's clear that there is a difference between Opheria and love in your life. And maybe now you can try to discern these different things in your life. If it talks like love, it moves like love, it even comforts like love, but it doesn't climb, it doesn't challenge, it keeps you morally stagnant, that's Opheria. That's danger. That's the test of love failing. Real love moves you forward. It makes you reflect, recalibrate, grow. It pushes you to act in a way that aligns in the form of goodness, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. It doesn't have to feel good. It just has to pull you towards the good. You can love a person, you can love a project, you can love music, ideas, memories, but the question is, does it pull you to the best version of yourself, the best moral self? Ophiuria can look like staying in a relationship just because it's comfortable, even when you both stop growing, holding on to a version of yourself that's familiar, even if it's not aligned with who you want to become, getting stuck in emotional feedback loops that feel right but don't do right. It can look like infatuation, codependency, sentimentality, identity reinforcement, confirmation bias. None of these are evil, they just keep you still. I started using this definition, love versus Ophiuria, to examine the things I care about. My love for music, real love. It brings peace, uplifts me and others, and grounds me in something moral. My love for my girlfriend Sophie, real love, because it pushes me to grow, to be better, to reflect. My love for ideas and knowledge, love, if they lead to truth and well-being. My love for comfort or nostalgia or habits that ask nothing of me, that's not love, that's Ophiuria. This has forced me into a new kind of honesty, asking questions like, is this helping me grow? Is this morally sustainable? Am I calling this love just so I don't have to face the truth? It's not about guilt or shame, it's about clarity. And maybe this word that we use so often is being used wrong. A thought experiment that I thought was really interesting was using Sophie and the trolley problem. So save Sophie or save 100. I ran the thought experiment, and it's personal. It's someone I love, someone who transformed me, someone who helped me start climbing in the first place. And the question is brutal in its simplicity. In my moral framework, and the question is brutal in its simplicity. Do I save Sophie or the 100? And what is true love? Is it true love to save her or the 100? Is there a way? Are there different ways to point love, or is there only one answer to this question that ties back into love? In my moral framework, the answer is clear. Save the 100. Emotionally, it would destroy me. Choosing Sophie would feel like love, intense, loyal, grief-stricken. Choosing Sophie would feel like love. It would be intense, loyal, grief-stricken, But it would be a love that sacrifices moral clarity for emotional protection. It would be a loop, not a thread, and that's the difference. The thread test asks, does this action pull me towards moral clarity, or does it loop on itself and not allow me to grow? Saving Sophie might preserve my heart, but it would shatter my climb. It would be a betrayal of the very growth she helped ignite. And it's love not because it's painless, but because it's not. Because it honors what we built. Because it chooses truth over illusion and goodness over grief. This isn't about betrayal. It's a story about becoming. I'm not walking away from Sophie. I'm remaining faithful to the version of myself she helped me create. And if staying loyal to her means I stop climbing, the most painful and most loving thing I can do is to let her go. If I let the world burn for one person, that's not love. That's fear dressed up as devotion. That's not a thread, that's a loop. And love that sacrifices many for one, even if it breaks your heart, is still Ophiuria. Conclusion. Diotima is where this journey began. Her ladder, her vision of love as ascent, opened something in me I didn't know I needed opening. And her ability to teach Socrates this idea of love and all that. Gotta do that again. What was the question? Okay. Diotima is where this journey began. Her ladder, her vision of love as ascent, opened something in me I didn't know I needed opening. She didn't just describe love, she dignified it. And she makes it more powerful in her teachings to Socrates because she is in a dark horse of knowledge and wisdom in this Greek world, an older woman who is wise and knowledgeable and is the teacher instead of Plato, or instead of Socrates, because Socrates is usually the teacher, but the script flips and he's the student. She didn't just describe love to Socrates, she dignified it. She made it something worth becoming. And maybe, after all this wrestling, redefining, reframing, she was right all along. Because what am I doing, really, if not exactly what she described? I've gone a few rungs higher, maybe sideways, but I think Diotima would still say I'm still chasing love. I just had to change what was at the top. Because for me, beauty, even the eternal kind, wasn't enough. It didn't feel grounded. It didn't feel universal. It didn't always feel good. Love is not the desire to possess beauty. It's the desire to become your most moral self. If love doesn't help me do that, if it doesn't help reduce suffering or bring more well-being into the world or push me towards something better, then I don't want it. Because real love, the kind worth chasing, the kind worth naming, the kind worth enduring, the kind worth defining, doesn't just feel good, it makes you become good. And if it doesn't do that, then maybe love isn't something worth chasing. Thank you for listening.